My ever-faithful companion, Dark Magician!
Welcome along, fellow Dark Magician enthusiasts, to another deck profile. Yes, we have hit, hold on, D-level max in the World Championship against the T0 meta. Horrifying. It was bloody rough. Had to clear my throat, apologies. I had to mute the mic briefly for a second. Anyway, 39 Stardust matches we had in total against Bonds of the Converging Stars, and we only won a third of them, which is, like, this is probably the most oppressive format I've played in my whole 3 years of playing this game. Like, I have not played it in any other T0 format previously. Like, I know there was the brief Tachyon and the brief Therion T0 formats, but they were not as bad as this format. But anyway, yeah, we made it with DM with the Ivy-Knight Dragon, and I will say this deck was rock solid in some aspects. In other aspects, it did fall flat, but this deck is pretty rock solid. We have, first of all, the 3 Illusion of Chaos, the 3 Timaeus, and the 3 Preparation of Rites that are really necessary to play the Ivy-Knight Dragon. You know, you gotta make the deck consistent, gotta make it good. That's what I used. Like, you just need the consistency. And we have the Small World package, which I had 2 copies of Small World. And to make Small World work, I used Nibiru, Thunder King the Lightning Strike Kaiju, Battle Boxer Veil, Lava Golem, and Effect Veiler. They all bridge together very, very nicely to go into multiple parts of your deck. Whether you need Timaeus, you need a Kaiju, you need a Lava Golem, you need Magician Souls for whatever reason, or you need to get to any other piece. This card's, like, Small World is a very, very good card and really boosted the consistency of the deck a lot. I only played, actually, no, before I get to the spells, we do need to go through the rest of the monsters. So, main reason I chose Nibiru is because this worked well against some decks. I know it doesn't work well against Stardust once they set up Quasar before their 5th summon, which it sucks. But Nibiru does sweep a bunch of other decks, and, like, it works, like, it can work well to an extent, but it's also very good as a Small World target, so, like, you know, it's got multiple uses. Same thing goes for Lava Golem, you know, tribute 2, and just keep playing the game. It's also good, like, you know, searching other parts of your deck. Thunder King the Lightning Strike Kaiju, another single monster Kaiju, but still also helps bridge multiple parts of the deck as well. Battle Boxer Veil, this actually came up a couple of times as a hand trap. This came up a couple of times. It was really, really interesting. Very, very interesting how this worked. Sometimes I summoned it, sometimes I didn't, but man, funny card, bridges really well into Timaeus, surprisingly, and, like, works fluidly with Lava Golem. Really good. And the other monster I just missed, Effect Veiler. Nice hand trap, discard, negate the effects of a phase that monster the opponent controls during the opponent's main phase only, though. Still very, very nice, and I do love the alt art. Alt art Veiler looks spectacular. If I get rid of the Stardust stuff, you can actually see the alt art a bit better. It looks very, very nice, very clean. Mwah. Beautiful design, I will just say that. I do love me some good card design. But anyway, of course, for the other monsters, we've got 1 DMG. You have to use 1. Well, you don't need to use more than 1, but you do need 1. 1 rod. I only really... messing up my words, sorry. I only really need 1 rod for this deck. Same with Magician Souls. And 2 copies of DM. 2 copies of DM was really, really nice. I didn't want to go to 1 because if I had only 1 copy and my opponent somehow got rid of it or I had no access to it, my entire deck will just die. So that's why I went with 2. And I try not to go below 2. If I could use 3, I would run 3. But for this deck, 2 felt pretty good. So you don't need to use 3 all the time, but if you can, you should. 2 is still a nice number, though. Now, the one card that probably did hurt me in more ways than good, I will say, Soul Servant. No, it's not a bad card. I'm gonna just clear that up right now. It's not a bad card. It's the amount I was playing. Playing just one stops you from being able to recover stuff in a grind game. Like this, if you only have one Soul Servant, your grind game capabilities are hurt a lot. And that's a bad thing. Like, because this meta is so oppressive, like, I had to play copies of Dark Ruler No More just to, like, you know, boost my chances of going second, which sucks. It really, really sucks. So having only one Soul Servant was quite a detriment in many ways. Like, still, it does, like, you know, lessen down, like, you know, if you already grab this card, cool, you can just search other cards instead. And it's a lot better drawing just one copy of this rather than two. But still, 2 copies I feel is absolutely necessary for a grind game. If you're wanting to just go, you know, all in or nothing, one's good. But you got to be really careful about that. The 1 copy of Droplet, I could have bumped this up to 2, but the only problem is Droplet is only as good as the cards you discard. Or you send to the graveyard, sorry. If you can't send, like, you know, monsters or like a trap or a spell, like, you know, if you can't send 3 card types to, like, you know, stop your opponent from responding to your card effects, and if they've got, like, you know, multiple negates on the board, they can just, like, you know, stop Droplet and you can't really do anything. I feel like Dark Ruler No More was a bit of a better card in a sense. Not completely better than Droplet, because you can't deal any damage to your opponent when you activate Dark Ruler No More. But yeah, Droplet was a toss-up for me. Sometimes it helped. Sometimes I could have used more copies, but for me, I only used one. It was very hard to fit everything into this deck, and that's the big problem with this deck. Trying to, like, you know, do everything, maintain consistency, it's just not much room for the tech options. So if you do want to play Small World, this is the problem you're going to run into. Being able to, like, you know, trying to cram as much cards as possible into the deck. But yeah, 1 Droplet was perfectly alright. Almost forgot to mention, gotta have the 1 Grand Tusk Dragon for the Heraldic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres play. Don't forget to use that monster. You have to level up Mokuba Kaiba to get Grand Tusk Dragon. There's no other way to get Grand Tusk. 1 Secrets, only need 1. 1 Circle, only need the 1. 1 Dark Magic Attack, real MVP when you have Tomias in hand. You flip summon DM after setting it with the skill effect going second, and then you just activate first part of your skill, put Tomias on the field, grab Dark Magic Attack, and just nuke the back row. Very, very nice. I love it. And then, of course, Eternal Soul to tie the whole deck together. You know, you need some recurrence. You need some options going, you know, like going first, like, you know, to set up, you know, Circle, Eternal Soul, and all that. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about the cards that I've used, because I've explained them a lot over and over, but I do believe this deck worked out pretty well for what I tried to do with it. There could be a lot of improvements, yes. A lot of improvements, but hey, this deck worked really, really well. I will say that. For our extra deck, we have 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, gotta use it. Dark Magician Dragon Knight, mandatory. Master of Chaos, absolute MVP, don't forget to include this card. The Dark Magicians, which is always used for turn 1 combos, like, you know, just drawing more cards, drawing as many cards as you possibly can, and even setting Eternal Soul to your field and being able to activate at the same turn. Like, you know, just try and get cards into your hand, get card advantage, and just, like, keep going over and over and over, you know? Just keep your hand advantage up and just try and draw into more staples and stuff. Chaos Angel, absolute goat of a card. Absolutely insane, and was actually the deciding factor in my rank up match. Use Magician's Rod and DM, treat either one of them as a tuner, and you can make a big 3500 beat stick that can banish any card on the field after targeting it, of course. And because it's Dark Attribute, all monsters you control can't be destroyed by battle. So all of your monsters turn into, like, you know, battle immune towers, essentially. Like, they could still be added by card effects, like, you know, Book of Eclipse and all that. But still, preventing your monsters from being destroyed by a battle is pretty damn good. But like, generically speaking, even without that effect, a 3500 beat stick is nice. It pushes over many monsters. And like sometimes you just need it. It's very, very good. Then we have, of course, Superstar Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis. If you can't get this card, I completely understand because it is a selection box card. I understand it is going to be a hard card to get. If you can get this though, this is a very good card. Like, you know, you commit to a lot of other plays, try and bait everything out. And then when you've only got one option left, Typhon, summon it, bounce something on your opponent's field, and then, like, you know, lock down their effects, like all their 3000 attack or higher monster effects, and it's like, you know, just try and push for game as much as possible. It's very, very good. There's not terribly a whole lot I can say about Typhon. The only thing I would say about Typhon is that it can also backfire, because it does stop you from activating Dragoon's effect. It does stop you from activating Master of Chaos's effect. So, like, you need to be very careful about, like, you know, when you use this and how you use it. As Arch said, though, Typhon is a clutch. Typhon, very nice. Like, you know, sometimes you just need that one extra edge, and Typhon gives it to you. Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, you know, like, it's the combo piece that we try to end on turn 1 to summon Grand Tusk Dragon during the opponent's turn. This is such a good card. This is such a good card in the meta where people are trying to run Lava Golem, people are trying to run the Wind Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. You know, very good monster to end on. That way, your opponent can't Lava Golem it, your opponent can't Sphere mode it, so they have to play into it. It's very good, and you do need Protective Web of the Destruction Swordsman to help set it up. It's a very nice end board piece. I would recommend absolutely getting the bundle if you can. It's like, I think close to 1,000 gems or something like that. But it's a good card. It's a good card. You should absolutely get it and use it as your end pieces for this current meta, because the meta is insane. And we do have as a final extra deck monster, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I didn't use Underworld Goddess as many times as I have previously, but this is still a good backup option. You know, if you're able to get 4 monsters onto the field, 4 monsters onto the field, and your opponent's not expecting it, link away one of their monsters that's unaffected by card effects. Like, this is a very, very good, like, you know, deck check, and a good backup option in case you've got nothing else left and you need to try and somehow out one of your opponent's towers. I don't even know what I would replace with this. Like, this is just really that good of a card. But because it's, like, you know, Link 5, it was much harder to summon, so I didn't really summon it as much as I previously used to. But yeah, there's nothing else to really say about this deck other than, like, you know, I felt this was, like, you know, a good mix of cards. If I was to change anything, I would potentially drop the Small World, bump up Dark Ruler No More, and Droplet just to combat this current meta. Like, if I really wanted to, play multiple copies of Lava Golem. But yeah, this meta was just really tough. Like, Tier 0 Stardust is insane. You can beat Stardust with enough skill, with enough right cards. Like, if you got Lava Golem, you got Dark Ruler No More, you can easily outgrind Stardust, but the fact that you need a really good combo of cards just to beat Stardust is really, really, it's really, really irritating. Yeah, very, very irritating, but I mean, what can you do? If you're not playing the Ivory Night Dragon, you can always just, like, you know, use multiple copies of Dark Ruler No More. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about it. Any deck changes in Stage 2? Good question for the deck profile before I finish up. I don't know. I might make some changes. I might, like, you know, I might cut Small World. I might not. I might change some Small World bridges here and there. I really, really don't know. I'm going to have a think about it over the next couple of days before the second stage starts. Because it is going to be tough. Top 1000 would be nice, but I don't know if I'd be able to get it. But we'll try. And yeah, we don't know. We'll see. I'll try and cook something up, see what happens, and go from there. With that all being said, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.